You know, when you're faced with a resounding humiliation that exposes how badly you messed up the news, you got two options. A, admit your mistakes and learn from them. B, circle the wagons and dig a deeper grave. Guess what the media chose?
What would you have had the media do over the past 2 years? Should we have reported on horse farms in Kentucky? Or done investigations into how maybe eating tree bark would lower our cholesterol? What would you have had us do?
I would have read that story about tree bark. So let's compare. This is Rachel Maddow from last week.
Brendan Van Grack. My favorite name in the whole Trump-Russia probe. Honestly, if there wasn't a person involved in this investigation named Brendan Van Grack, you'd have to invent one.
Here's her now.
In 1974, Leon Jaworski was the special prosecutor who was investigating Watergate and related issues within the Nixon administration. The first special prosecutor, of course, had been Archibald Cox.
Wow. So without Russia, she's reduced to doing a history class for shut-ins. She's 1 month from scribbling "help me" on a chalkboard. Next week, she'll be saying this.
We're really freaking old. I mean, in cable news years, we're like 1,000. We're like Great Uncle Pete, who's always falling asleep in the Thanksgiving mashed potatoes, right? We are a longfin eel still swimming around New Zealand, ready to embark on the next phase of its mysterious fish life after the age of 100.
Yeah. Meanwhile, CNN honcho Jeff Zucker excuses his guilt, saying we are not investigators, we are journalists. So he admits his anchors are only stenographers, not people capable of ferreting out facts. Why work when Media Matters can fit your script onto one sheet? But that doesn't explain why they climbed into bed with Michael Avenatti as he tried to destroy an innocent man. Now he's been arrested, and one of CNN's former legal analysts may have been involved. I'd call it a bad week for CNN, but it's just another week for CNN. It'd be nice to see some introspection from the media, maybe ask themselves, how do we fall for this? And did we play a role in fooling others? But they can't, because there's profit in this narrative, a narrative that sowed division that could have destroyed a country by branding a president a Russian spy. They didn't care. They still don't. The problem is they got caught. But I'm worried, what do these people do when they've driven their profession into the ground? There's always vaudeville.
Songs that made the hit parade. Guys like us, we had it made. Those were the days.
This is my favorite part.
I would have to be Archie. You be Edith. Guys were guys, men were men.
Men were men. Oh my gosh, this
Mister, we could use a man like Herbert Hoover again.
It's always good to have a backup plan. All right, media seems in a defensive mode, Dana.
Oh, yes, a little bit. They're feeling it a little bit. But they've got a plan.
They do.
You want to know what the plan is?
What is it?
Okay, the two things that they're going to go after. One, they will say that Bill Barr is compromised because Mueller did not make a decision on obstruction, though, as Andy McCarthy points out, that was his job.
Right.
So what did we pay you for? Your job as a prosecutor is to make a decision. You didn't even do that. So now Jerry Nadler and other Democrats are going to be able to say, Barr, could we see you, please? Mueller, could we see you, please? Can you come up here and explain to us how you were supposed to have an apolitical report, and now it's totally compromised because you let a political appointee decide that President Trump is not guilty of obstruction? And that's exactly where they are heading. You heard it here first. You don't have to watch the other channels for that.
Don't watch the other channels. Jesse, isn't really the media the deep state?
Oh, Greg, I think you're onto something there. The morning Joe clip you played at the top, it's a straw man argument. We're not saying, yeah, I want you to report on horse farms in Kentucky. Just report the story fairly and report it from both sides. You can still report on the Russia collusion investigation, but look around you. Don't just look on one side of the story, because that's what Fox did, and then we benefited from that. I think what's going to happen now, and you saw the ratings last night, the ratings for Fox were astronomical, and the ratings for CNN lower than usual, and MSNBC really, really soft. There's going to be a hangover, I think you said at the top. People are going to feel deceived. If I were a viewer, I would feel misled. And you know when you feel like you put all your eggs in one basket and then it doesn't deliver? You're going to take a little break from TV.
Yeah.
You're not going to watch TV for a little while. I think a lot of Republicans stopped watching TV after Romney lost because people in the media told them that Romney was going to win in a huge landslide, and when that didn't happen, they tuned out for a couple months, and that's what you'll see for the rest of the press.
Juan, why is it so hard just to say, hey, we got it wrong?
Well, I'm still waiting because actually I thought what Jeff Zucker said was on target. Reporters don't have subpoena power. We don't have the investigative power.
But nobody's talking about his reporters. The reporters are different from people that are on air, like a John Brennan.
No, hang on. The question was about the media in general and about Pulitzer Prizes that went to the New York Times, the Washington Post, and all of a sudden you see people say, why were these awards given to these journalists when in fact here's the finding of the Mueller special counsel. But in fact, the media doesn't have the power to put people in jail to investigate a foreign power trying to subvert an American election. That's something that's done by people in power, and the journalist's job is to report on that. And Jesse, you said
they vet too on. They don't just report; they have to vet.
Of course, but Jesse, you said no attention to the contrary set of facts coming from the Trump administration defense. To the contrary, we put Trump on TV every day saying no collusion, witch hunt, and all the rest, deep state. That was his defense.
Did the MSNBC investigate the dossier? Did they investigate the Strzok text? Did they investigate the human spies?
How much talk have we had
Not
about
as much as we did.
I would just say that there are some responsible journalists. I saw, like ABC, I think his name is Terry Moran, who said, you know what, all of these people who came forward and said all of these things, like Brennan especially, and you go through the list of Democratic operatives masking themselves as intelligence officials who have accused the president of treason, he has now said, I'm going to push back against all of those people and demand more evidence. And so I hope more people follow this honest reporter's lead and don't just take whatever the Democrats. You see, they're hiding Adam Schiff and all of these guys just hide behind the cloak of having some sort of valued intelligence that the rest of us don't have. And it turned out to be a lie.